Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our reading through the Tanak night, the 18th of March, 2026. Okay. We'll be reading our 5 chapters, or we'll be reading out of 2nd Samuel. We'll be reading chapters 1 through 5. We're going to read each chapter and break it down. Okay. You can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening, check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe, and share this channel. Okay. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah, Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer and our Deliverer, the Lord of hosts. This channel was created to aid and assist all Hebrews who are waking up in these last days to their true identity and also understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to the channel and welcome to our reading through the Tanakh. Okay, we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, the Psalms. We have some current events. We have some need to know information, and we'll open it up for anybody with questions, any comments, or any dialogue or any testimonies. Okay, and then our topic for discussion is the financial superstorm that nobody is explaining. We're gonna deal with that video and talk about it and see how it relates to the scripture. Okay. Then, like I said, our scripture reading will be from the book of 2nd Samuel, and we'll be reading chapters 1 through 5. Okay. Then we'll pick a scripture and we'll read that scripture, break it down, and then we're gonna close out. Okay. So with that being said, this moment of silence for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness that we may walk before thee as thy servants David and Solomon, Samuel, Hezekiah, and Ezekiel did. Okay. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments and your testimony and your statutes with all our heart and our soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people in this hour. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us any longer, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. So with that being said, I'll read the psalm right quick. Okay. Okay, I'll read Psalms 15. Who shall dwell in the holy hill? The Psalm of David. Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart. He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor, nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbor, in whose eyes a vile person is contempt. But he honoreth them that fear the Lord. He that sweareth to his own hurt and changeth not. He that putteth not out his money to usury, nor taketh reward against the innocent. He that doeth these things shall never be moved. So that was Psalm 15. It's who shall dwell in thy holy hill. Psalm of David. Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna go to our current events. We're gonna play the video, then we'll talk about it. Okay, here we go.
About the prices of gas right now, that some are telling their residents to use the stairs, to stop cooking on certain days, to only use their car on every other day, even for people inside of offices to stop wearing suits and wear short sleeve shirts so they can actually turn the AC down. This is getting crazy, but look at this. It says, use the stairs and work from home. Asia is already making big changes as oil prices spike. It says, from New Delhi to Manila, authorities have invoked emergency powers to conserve energy as a region dependent on Gulf oil grapples with the effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz. What is happening right now is insane, but experts believe that if prices do not stabilize and they keep going up, millions of people are going to be struggling. I want to show you what's happening because right now, this is crazy. People are being told, do not come into the office, stay at home, work from home, and if you have to come in, well, don't drive. Take public transportation, walk, or ride your bike. But look at this, because this right here is the start of the concern.
The all-time high for the most consumers have ever paid for gasoline was in the summer of 2022 after Russia invaded Ukraine. It was a $5 per gallon average. If we don't open up Hormuz soon, I can see us making new records.
We could be looking at the highest gas prices ever paid in this country.
If we don't open Hormuz to the free flow of traffic, yes.
It's not just gas prices. The cost of jet and diesel fuel has risen 25%. And as a result, higher plane tickets and grocery prices are expected to follow.
But what's interesting about all of this is that this is in a time where many people, not just here in the United States, but around the world, are complaining that everything is unaffordable. I want to show you what's going on, though. Look at some of these stories. This is what these countries are doing to help protect their citizens from not paying too much. Look at this right here. It says Myanmar to curb private vehicle use as fuel shortages emerge. Listen to what they're doing. It says Myanmar's military government will impose limits on private vehicles starting Saturday to conserve fuel as disruptions to Middle East shipping routes threaten the country's energy supply. It says private cars and motorcycles, except for electric vehicles, will only be allowed on the roads every other day based on their license plate, with even numbered plates operating on even dates and odd numbered plates operating on odd dates, according to the National Defense and Security Council. They are now telling you, oh, you can only drive on this day, or you can only drive on this day. And if you want to drive on a different day, well, sorry, you can't. It's based off your license plate. How crazy is that? But look at this one. It says right here, no suits and more work from home. Thailand saves energy amid Mideast tensions. Now, what exactly are they doing? Well, look at this. It says, under the measures, all government agencies have been instructed to implement a full work from home policy immediately and until the situation improves. Public-facing agencies must, however, continue operating normally to avoid disrupting services. Says the government has also introduced energy-saving measures in state offices. Civil servants will be encouraged to remove jacket suits during meetings to reduce air conditioning use, while office air conditioning systems must be set to a minimum of 26 degrees Celsius. Officials have also been ordered to postpone overseas study trips and training programs for the time being, only to try to conserve fuel. So what Sri Lanka is doing is every single Wednesday, they're treating this as a almost like a holiday where there's no work. Wednesdays are off days. That means no working at the office, no working or no doing anything at school. Wednesdays are completely off. Think about this for a second. Think about how every single country would be negatively impacted if we took an additional day off. That means no work, no school, no nothing. The GDP here in the United States, this would tumble quickly. But look at this right here. It says right here, Nepal is rationing cooking gas due to panic over shortage. They are so concerned about cooking gases. Okay, let me read this to you. It says Nepal will begin rationing cooking gas amid fears that the Middle East conflict could create a nationwide shortage. It says Samtim Bhatta, the executive director of state-run Nepal Oil Corporation, said authorities will refill only half of consumers' empty cylinders starting from Friday to make its liquefied petroleum gas stocks last longer. They are rationing in other countries. The concern is, what if we have to ration here in the United States? Okay, What if that happens? Okay, it even says right here, Bangladesh rations fuel as Middle East conflict spur panic buying. I knew people that were panic buying gas, for their farms and stuff like that. They were doing this when we were still discussing a possible war, when gas prices were at, or oil prices were like $64 a barrel. They were panic buying. They were getting large containers or fuel stations, whatever they call them. They were getting big tanks of fuel for their farms because they were highly concerned that gas prices would shoot up. Well, their fears were, it happened. Gas prices shot up. And so this is why I'm bringing it to your attention today. All this stuff is happening over in other countries. The concern is that what does the United States need to do? Some companies are telling their workers to work from home, stay at home 2 days a week, only come in the other 3 days. So a lot of them are doing this.
Okay. Any comments on that? What you think?
Shalom, everybody, and brother Leonard, I think this the plan right here, because it's a lot of the countries that was a lot of the countries that was already struggling, closing that port. We looking at the effects of it, so this look like this part of that the Israel's plan,
Right, and it's definitely coming here.
right?
Oh yeah. Okay. Anybody else got anything on that?
Shalom, everyone. Yes, and I heard that Vladimir Putin on Friday called Trump, and Trump lifted some of their sanctions about their oil. So this right here is behind the scenes. They're working together in some kind of way. You know how you said that the Lauder host uses Magog and Gog. So now Russia, Vladimir Putin is asking Trump to lift some sanctions on them, and he did. So I don't know how far he's going to go with lifting more sanctions on him, where the economy gets back to where they're issuing more of that, their energy can go lower for them. But yes, sir, he just did that on Friday.
Okay.
And far as the people working from home, they cut all that out with that Doge thing that they were doing. And now they're having to bring it back. So they know they made a mistake far as taking these people from home, working from home. And now, and they're saying it's all over the globe. People are having to commute back and forth and certain license plate. But that sounds weird, and it don't make any sense to me. But that's in certain areas. I don't think they're implementing it here in the United States.
No, it ain't made it here yet. It's coming though. Okay.
It covers 5 specific things every American should be doing with their money right now because of what is unfolding in Iran and what it is already doing to gas prices, food costs, mortgage rates, and the stock market. Think about the last time the world changed overnight, and not in a small way, but in a way that reached your grocery bill, your gas pump, your mortgage, your retirement account, all of them shifting at once, and all of them shifting in the same direction. That is exactly where we are as of March 17th, 2026, 17 days into a war between the United States, Israel, and Iran. And the economic pressure is already landing on ordinary American families in ways most people have not connected to this conflict yet. Forget the politics for a moment, because this is not a political conversation. What this is an economics conversation, and the numbers are already moving. Goldman Sachs just raised recession odds to 25%. Gas prices jumped 48 cents in a single week. The Strait of Hormuz is closed, and food prices are expected to climb within 60 days. None of that is speculation anymore. Those figures are already on record. Wars don't stay over there. They show up at the checkout counter, at the pump, in your monthly mortgage statement. What follows is exactly how this one arrived in your wallet, and what 5 moves you can make right now to absorb the impact better than someone who waited. Context matters here, so let's run through the short version, because understanding the sequence of events is what makes the economic picture actually make sense. For years, Iran kept enriching uranium, and by the time shooting started, they sat on 440 kilograms enriched to 60% purity, enough, if pushed slightly further, to build up to 10 nuclear weapons. And according to US intelligence, they were less than 2 weeks away from having enough for one bomb. June 2025 brought the first round of fighting, a 12-day war in which Israel struck Iran's nuclear facilities at Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan. And the US Department of Defense concluded that Iran's nuclear program had been set back by roughly 2 years. That sounded like a resolution, but what followed was anything but. New international sanctions arrived in September 20 household budget instead of going to a price spike driven by a war nobody voted for. Second thing, stock your pantry now. Before the 60-day food price spike hits, RSM US, an economic analysis firm, estimates that food prices in America will start rising noticeably within 60 days. And the mechanism behind that forecast is already in motion. Fresh foods feel the pressure first because, as one economist described it, food gets to the grocery store on diesel, whether it arrives on a truck or on a boat, and diesel is currently pushing toward $5 per gallon. Packaged foods carry more supply chain buffer, but they are headed the same direction, just on a slightly longer delay. Urea prices jumped 35% between February 28 and mid-March, climbing from $475 to $680 per metric ton. And that cost increase lands directly on American farmers planting spring crops right now. Zandy's observation from Moody's cuts to the core why this matters. Lower income and middle income households spend a higher share of their budget on necessities like gas and food, which means this particular kind of inflation falls hardest on the people with the smallest cushion to absorb it. Building that cushion now, while there's still time to act ahead of the full price spiral, is the most direct thing anyone can do. Fourth thing, act on your mortgage rates just moved, and they're not done. On February 27th, one day before Operation Epic Fury began, the average 30-year mortgage rate sat at 5.99%. By March 12th, it had moved to 6.29%, a 30 basis point jump in 2 weeks, and the forces pushing it higher have not gone away. Here is the chain that connects oil prices to your mortgage payment. Rising oil prices feed inflation expectations. Inflation expectations push bond yields upward, and bond yields are what mortgage rates actually track. Rachel Ziemba, a risk analyst, described the outcome directly. Inflation remaining stickier means it's harder for the Fed to cut interest rates, and mortgage rates and other long-term interest rates might be stuck at their current levels or go higher. Anyone carrying a variable rate mortgage has a concrete reason to speak with a mortgage professional this week, because the difference between 6.29% and 7.00% on a $300 loan runs close to $150 per month. And in a rising rate environment, that gap tends to close faster than homeowners expect. For
Okay, so it's just more of the same, but I got some need to know information right here. I thought that was pretty interesting. So here we go.
If World War III breaks out, where are you actually safe? This is a question that many people are silently asking and daily researching. So I wanted to make this video not because I think that there's a way to escape war, because oftentimes airspace is going to shut and visas will close down before you can even book your flight. But for those that are already on their way out and want to prepare early, you cannot escape war that is going to affect the entire world. But you can put yourself in a place and in a position where you are going to be the least likely to be affected, because another reality is we are living on a planet where 9 countries have access to nuclear weapons. That is the world that we are in. So I'm going to go by continent to continent and share my recommendations based on 100 countries of travel where I think Geopolitically, you are going to be the safest. They have food independence, agriculture is steady, and there is a level of neutrality. Also, the geographically, they are kind of positioned in a way where they're not in the line of fire. Okay, so let's start with Asia, because that is where I decided to take up my first 2 residencies. I have a primary residence in Thailand and also long-term residency in Indonesia, specifically Bali. And the third country in Asia that I recommend is Malaysia. So between these 3 countries, Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia, there is a very strong infrastructure. There's also built-in expat culture and resources. So you're not coming here feeling like you got to figure everything out by yourself, but there's already millions of Americans that are living between these 3 countries. There are people and systems in place that will help you out. And I feel very safe and calm here. Like no lie, if World War III broke out tomorrow, I would be so thankful that I lived in the continent of Asia, specifically in one of these 3 countries. Life moves differently here, and it's something that is better felt than telt. You have to see it for yourself. But on my channel, you'll see many videos where I talk about Thailand and Bali for this reason. I do believe it is some of the safest places that you can exist, and I'm grateful that they opened their doors to us, quite honestly. Next continent, Africa. Let's talk through some options. So number 1, Ghana. There is already a very strong diaspora tie, and many people, especially Black Americans, that are doing their DNA ancestry, and they have any bit of Ghanaian history, lineage, they're able to get a Ghanaian passport. So please exercise those options if it's available to you. And Ghana, I just found it to be one of the most joyful, exuberant, colorful countries, and one of the most stable on the continent. So it definitely gets my check, my stamp of approval. And then I'm going to give the second spot to Namibia. And Namibia has a sparse population, but it's also so low key and under the radar. Pretty stable government, but it's not in nobody's way. So it's on the more neutral side. So I feel like being in Namibia, you would be able to kind of fly under the radar and not be in any quite literal line of fire. And in the third place, I'm giving this to Mauritius, because Mauritius is actually, it's interesting. It's an island country in Eastern Africa. And geographically, it's positioned in a place where it is so isolated that it would be hard for anything in the country of Mauritius to be affected. And of course, I'm making these statements from my experience and from my research, but I'll say it again, the disclaimer from the top of this video: no country can fully escape a global war, but you can position yourself in places that will be less affected, or you will feel a lot safer and calmer. Okay, so for Africa, Ghana, Namibia, and Mauritius. All right, let's move over to Europe. I'm giving this spot to Portugal, Ireland, and Croatia. Now, Portugal is going to be interesting because it already has a very simple pathway for visas for a lot of US citizens. And I also think it is one of those places where, because the expat infrastructure is more on the developed side, you won't be figuring things out by yourself, and you will be able to join, if you need to, with a lot of other Americans that are also already living in Portugal. You can check out the Exodus Summit, and there's all types of clubs and communities that exist in Portugal to house and help transition US citizens that decide to move to Portugal. Fiji is...
At Hampton Hyundai, we pride ourselves on serving Emerald Coast with the
geographically, it is just so out the way. And next up is kind of its neighboring island country, Vanuatu, which I'm very excited to visit in a couple weeks. Vanuatu is a very interesting place, and I think, you know, while its infrastructure isn't as developed as Fiji geographically, because it's so out of the way, they can fly under the radar. They don't have to worry about nothing. They have a very simple and easy process to get there. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm really excited to learn more about the people and the culture of Vanuatu. But from the research that I've done, because I'm going to be visiting there soon, I feel very good about it. or in 10 years. I love the idea that you can start doing the work to prepare, to put yourself in a position to have options. All of this is about optionality. I am not trying to tell you something that is meant to fearmonger you or get you, the world is going to end, we're all going to die. Like, these are things that we cannot control. Immortality is not the goal. Safety, peace, calm, comfort is. So with these options, I'm hoping that you can take it from here, do your research, figure out what is the next best step for yourself, for your family. And yeah, y'all, it's scary times, but I'm grateful for the privilege of options. Put yourself in a position to where you can exercise some of them, and let's do our best. If you want.
Okay. Anybody got anything on that? What you think?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. I actually had a question about like this exact topic, just kind of the kind of information she was saying. And my question is
She's
though,
so worried.
like how yes sir, how she's saying about getting yourself together as far as getting your options ready, seeing what country you want to go to and stuff. Like what do you think about that? Because to me it's kind of like I'm gonna go where the Lord of hosts kind of lead me to over there. But it's a lot of videos, especially right now, of people that have already moved to Africa, and that's what they're saying. They're trying to herd the people along, and I just want to know what you think about that.
Well, me myself, I'm just laying low and wait to, like I said, if you thinking like a Hebrew and you understand who your Savior and your Redeemer is, when that time comes, the cue comes, you're gonna know it's it. That's it, and that's what I'm relying on, being able to hear the Lord and react to what He's telling me to do. That's what I'm relying on. And one of the things is, like I said, back when I first started on this channel, was I had all my stuff. I had made up my mind I was leaving, and I was going to Namibia. You know what I'm saying? And so I went to go get the passport. And do my passport. Found out I couldn't, and but like I said, it was Namibia. And one of the reasons I had decided that was, at that time, it was like the currency in Namibia was 14-1 to American dollar, and then it was like open country. There's not that many people in that area, and then after that, I come to find out it's a lot. It's a lot of information pointing toward Namibia being part of. It's pretty much like where Israel at, Jerusalem. Since I had that inkling, and like just now, she just brought it up. Out of all the countries she referring to go to, it was Ghana and then Namibia. So it's like somebody egging me on. So yeah, but I'm gonna just let it play out.
Right. Yes, sir. And Brother Leonard, and my question too is to the point of, like, say if I had the money right now to leave tomorrow, well, that would be from the Lord of hosts then, but I feel like some people, like she said, she not fear mongering, but some videos that I see, some people are kind of fear mongering, like, sell everything and leave and stuff like that. And I just disagree with that part.
Right, and then those people they're not where you at. They're not thinking like a Hebrew. So you have to understand that you can receive what they're saying, and like you do with the scriptures, get the meat out, and you know what I'm saying, and move on. But the average person, they're not thinking like a Hebrew. So
right,
you have to consider that. And then, like I say, they don't know what you know. Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, nobody else got anything. I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions, comments, any dialogue or testimony, anything they heard on this channel? they came across in their research? They want to talk about it.
Shalom, everyone. I just recently looked at a video that was talking about the real where Garden of Eden actually was, and they're continue to say it was in Africa, and it's, all things point to Africa. So is that something that we have went over? Because I'm trying to remember that we went over it at one point. If it is so in Africa, then um, Israel is where
Me, I mean,
for
like I
us to
said,
say.
up to this point, I say that it's down south. Like I said, down by Zimbabwe, down in there by Namibia. That's where I think is at. And then a strong evidence when you look at everything, look at the physical part of it. Why is the Sahara Desert the way it is? And then you think about what he said about desert. He's gonna make it desert. Nobody's gonna be living there until he returns. But so he said the desert animals, the owl and the bittern and all that was gonna live there. And so you gotta look at that Sahara. Why is it like that? Why is it the way it is? Because that's not how he created it in the beginning. He said that the land came up out of the water, and the land that came up out of the water was good. It was able to produce vegetation and fruits and fruit trees and all that. But the Sahara and then the size of it, size of the Sahara Desert, is something happened there. You know what I'm saying? And when you think about just like this country, if somebody was to do some serious bombing to this country, the people gonna scatter, right? And so you're gonna see where they went because you're gonna see that they all around the area where America was, but they're not in America. And when you look at the Sahara Desert, it's the same thing. We start to find out it's Israelites all around that region. So could it be at one time that was the region, and when that happened, the people scattered out in all different directions around that area. But that's just me thinking, me looking from what I learned in my research. Okay.
Yes, sir. So would that be when the water hosts come back? Would he bring it back to where
Right.
that would be the promised land?
When he come, you're gonna everybody gonna know where the promised land is. When he go to work on it, they're gonna know it's him.
All right. So
Land
okay.
and know he's back. Yeah.
So the reason why it said that is that moving from one continent to another or going somewhere else, stay where you are until that happens, or leave from where you are to get closer to where you may think that the Lord of hosts will bring that bring
Well,
us to.
if you're in a good place, stay there. If it get hot,
Yes,
yeah, I would move. But if you're in a good place and you're in a safe place, stay there. He says that he gonna gather us wherever we at. So if you're in a good place, good environment, around like-minded people, then stay there. That's what I do. Okay.
thank you.
Anybody else got anything? Questions, comments, and dialogue?
Yeah, yes, sir. Shalom, brother Leonard. I had a comment, then I did have a scripture question. A comment though. We're talking about those 15-minute cities, the smart cities that are building, and
Right.
I seen one that they actually started construction on, close to here in North Carolina, around Apex, and it's supposed to be like 1,300 acres, and it's supposed to have little school system, the businesses, and all of that. But the point is, and you have been making this point before, that they're 15-minute cities, and so they're calling them walkable cities. To where you know, you might not need a car, or you know, you might just use a bike or something like that, but they want people to stay in a certain area. But that reminds me of Hunger Games. You know how they
Right.
breaking the, you know, had them in districts and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, yes, sir. But
even handmade.
right, oh, right, yes, sir. Same way.
Right.
So yeah, so it's just showing me that again that the plan is continuing. And then if people forgot last year when Trump did that bill that got all the money for the AI, you know, this is part of that development.
Right. Exactly. Right. And another thing with the me, I'm looking at that thinking about just imagine like I said, it's gonna happen when the tsunami comes. Those 15-minute cities gonna come into play too, because it's gonna displace a lot of people. I mean, could they be building them now in anticipation to that, knowing what's gonna happen?
Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah. That's something. I'll play this right quick, and then I'm gonna go to my topic for discussion. Okay, here we go.
National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard testifying on Capitol Hill, grilled on the war in Iran.
Did you brief the president if he starts a war of choice that the likely result would be that Iran would strike adjacent Gulf nations and close the Strait of Hormuz?
I have not and won't divulge internal conversations.
Yesterday, a top counterterrorism official, Joe Kent, resigned, saying it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. The White House dismissing his resignation letter, saying the president had compelling evidence that Iran was going to attack the U.S. first. The war taking a new ominous turn today. Both sides now openly taking aim at energy assets. Iran confirming an attack on its gas refineries, and in response, warning its neighbors to evacuate energy facilities in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. Last night, the U.S. launching a major attack, dropping multiple 5,000-pound bunker buster bombs near the Strait of Hormuz, trying to reopen the critical waterway to oil tankers blocked by Iran. Today in Tehran, funerals, killed in Israeli strikes. Israel now claims a third assassination, Iran's intelligence minister, Esmail Khatib. Overnight, Israel facing a wave of deadly Iranian strikes across the region. Multiple cluster munitions intercepted over Tel Aviv, but a drone hitting the home of an Israeli couple in their 70s, killing them both. And in Lebanon, where Israel is taking on Iranian-backed Hezbollah, powerful Israeli strikes leveling an entire building in Beirut, killing 10 and injuring 27, according to the Lebanese Ministry of Health. Olivia.
Okay. So with that being said, any comments on that? Okay, so with that being said, like I said, my topic for discussion is it's a financial superstorm that's already here. Nobody talking about it, and I think this is why you hear so many people like these economists and all that is making it plain without a doubt that this system is going to collapse. So let's listen to it, then we'll go from there.
Three storms just hit Wall Street at the same time, and the Fed cannot stop any of them. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how a private credit meltdown, a GDP print that got cut in half, and a $100 oil shock from the Iran war are feeding into each other right now in a way that nobody on television is connecting for you. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why the Fed
sound like the Lord of hosts to me.
Is trapped, what that means for your portfolio this week, and the one data point buried in the bank filings that tells you just how bad the damage already is. My name is Mark Malik. I'm the Chief Investment Officer at a major financial institution and the founder of Wall Street Truth Bombs. And what I'm about to walk you through is a convergence that I have not seen too often in my 35 years in capital markets. Okay, So here's what the mainstream narrative sounds up like right now. You turn on CNBC and they tell you the economy is fine, just a little soft. They say that the Q4 GDP revision was a fluke caused by the government shutdown. They say oil prices are elevated but manageable. They say private credit is having some growing pains, but it's not systematic. Let me take those one at a time. First, GDP. The Bureau of Economic Analysis revised fourth quarter growth down to just 0.7%. That's not a soft patch. That is the US economy, the largest economy on earth, barely growing. The advanced estimate was 1.4%. The revision cut that in half. Consumer spending was revised down. You know how obsessed I am with consumption, and that was revised down. Exports were revised down also. Government spending cratered because of the October shutdown. Yes, the shutdown distorted the number. The BEA estimates that it shaved about 1 percentage point off of growth. But even if you add that back in, you're still looking at 1.7%, still well below trend and decelerating from the 4.4% pace in Q3. Now, here's the part that they glossed over on Friday. The GDP deflator, the broadcast measure of price change in the entire economy, came in hot at 3.8%. And the January core PCE reading hit 3.1% year over year. That means prices are accelerating while growth is decelerating. That combination, that has a name, and it's called stagflation. Get used to hearing it this week. I was on the ferry this morning coming across the Hudson, and I pulled up the GDP revision side by side with the PCE print on my phone. And I just stared at it because I've seen this movie before, and it doesn't end with a soft landing. First of all, guys, if you like this type of content, please click like and consider subscribing. It's important to be in the know, and this is how you do it. Now, let me take you behind the curtain because the GDP number is bad. The inflation number is worse, but the thing that should actually keep you up at night is what's happening right now in the private credit market, and specifically what JP Morgan just did quietly that almost nobody is still talking about. Here's the shadow data. JP Morgan marked down the collateral values that private credit firms used to borrow against. This is not a headline you saw on Bloomberg. This is buried in the bank filings, but it's the most important thing that happened last week because it sets off a chain reaction. Lower collateral means less borrowing capacity. Less borrowing capacity means forced sales, guys. Forced sales creates new pricing benchmarks that drag down every similar loan on every other fund's books. It's a feedback loop, and it's already spinning. The numbers are staggering, actually. Morgan Stanley capped redemptions at its North Haven fund after investors tried to pull out nearly 11% of shares. They honored less than half. Blue Owl permanently shut the door on its OBDC2 fund. BlackRock hit its quarterly gate on a $26 billion lending fund after investors tried to gain 9.3%. Cliffwater capped at 7% after investors tried to pull a record 14%. This, guys, is a $3.5 trillion market, and the exit doors are closing one by one. Fortune's already calling it a $256 billion meltdown in market cap across major private credit firms. Blackstone down 46% from its peak, KKR down 48%.
Sounds like 2008 to me.
Blue Owl down 2/3. And here's the part that makes it a superstorm. These private credit funds lend to middle market companies. Those companies need a functioning economy to make their interest payments. When GDP is running below 1%, revenue growth slows. When oil spikes above $100, input costs explode. When the Fed can't cut rates, refinancing becomes more expensive. The stressed borrowers inside these funds just lost two things they needed most: time and a cooperative economy. Think about it this way. If you owe money on your house and you lose your job and your heating bill doubles and the bank will not refinance your mortgage, you're in a bit of trouble, my friend. Now, multiply that across thousands of middle market companies, and you start to see why the fund managers who are quietly hoping to work these credits out over time just ran out of runway. So where does the superstorm go from here? The Fed meets this Tuesday and Wednesday, and they have no good options. Cut rates to help the slowing economy, and you pour fuel on an inflation fire that is already being fed by $100 oil. Hold rates steady, and you watch an economy that printed 0.7% GDP continue to suffocate under the weight of high borrowing costs. The Fed is pretty much stuck. And that is not a phrase you ever want to hear when a superstorm is forming. Meanwhile,
so you got to look at that, listening to this, and then this. You have the president. Now he didn't know this. It's the last thing could have ever been done was to attack Iran. So looking at this, you can see it's obvious it's all planned. Why would he attack Iran? Look what this man telling you. Every financial analyst and all them, they all knew this. And at least the last thing you want to do, like he said, $100 $100 barrels of oil. And so attacking Iran, knowing what that Strait of Hormuz is, and you attack Iran, you got to be doing it. You got to be intentionally doing it. You're trying to bring the country down. That's crazy. Is there something? Anybody got anything on that?
Oh, no, sir, I'm just agreeing with you. Yes, that is crazy. And not only that, like you said, they know about it. And those billionaires and millionaires, they know of it. And that's, again, to me, sounds like another scare tactic, giving it to
Right.
the public.
Right. Me myself, I think that these billionaires and oligarchies, whatever you want to call them, they already got a plan. They already got their money somewhere else. Okay. And then after they do what they're gonna do, thinking that it's gonna pass over, and then they're gonna come back with their money and reinvest in whatever it is they're doing after that. But this is the same thing they did with a Hitler. Hitler was used to come in and wipe the system out, and then after he done what he done, they got rid of him, and they came back in to the system we're dealing with now. But this system that played out. This their way of doing the crossover. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and do our scripture reading. We're gonna be in the book of 2 Samuel. We're gonna be reading chapters 1 through 5. Me and you don't have to deal with it, AJ. You're gonna read 1 and 2. If you want to, 3, or I can read 3, 4, and 5.
All right, yes, sir. Shalom. I can do 1 through 3.
Okay.
It's all good, yes, sir. And it says, second Sam, news of Saul's death. Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David abode 2 days in Ziklag. It came even to pass on the third day that behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul with his clothes rent and earth upon his head. And so it was when he came to David that he fell to the earth and did obeisance. And David said unto him, from whence comest thou? And he said unto him, out of the camp of Israel I am escaped. And David said unto him, how went the matter? I pray thee, tell me. And he answered, that the people are fled from the battle, and many of the people are fallen and dead. And Saul and Jonathan and his son are dead also. And David said unto the young man that told him, how knowest thou that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead? And the young man that told him said, as I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo, the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. And when he looked behind him, he saw me and called unto me, and I answered him, here am I. And he said unto me, who art thou? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite. He said unto me again, stand, I pray thee upon me and slay me, for anguish is come upon me, because my life is yet whole in me. So I stood upon him and slew him, because I was sure that he could not live after that he was fallen. And I took the crown that was upon his head and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought him hither unto my Lord. Then David took hold of his clothes and rent him, and likewise all the men that were with him, And they mourned and wept and fasted until evening for Saul and for Jonathan his son and for the people of the Lord and for the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword. And David said unto the young man that told him, Whence art thou? And he answered, I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite. And David said unto him, How wast thou not afraid to stretch forth thy hand to destroy the Lord's anointed? And David called one of the young men and said, Go near and fall upon him. And he smote him that he died. And David said unto him, Thy blood be upon thy head, for thy mouth hath testified against thee, saying, I have slain the Lord's anointed. And David lamented with this lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan his son. Also, he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher, the beauty of Israel is slain upon thy high places. How art the mighty fallen? Tell it not in Gath, publish it not in the streets of Ascalon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph. Yea, mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew, neither let there be rain upon you, nor fields of offerings, for there the shield of the mighty is vilely cast away, the shield of Saul, as though he had not been anointed with oil. From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan turned not back, and the sword of Saul returned not empty. Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives, and in their death they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles, they were stronger than lions. Yea, daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet, with other delights, who put on ornaments of gold upon your apparel. How are the mighty fallen in the midst of the battle? O Jonathan, thou wast slain in thine high places. I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan. Very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Thy thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women. How are the mighty fallen and the weapons of war perished? And Shalom, that was 2 Samuel chapter 1.
Okay, you got anything on that chapter?
That Brother Leonard, where it said might have to pass. But this they didn't mention his name. This Amalekite.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah, I'm under the assumption it's Doug.
Okay, from the house of David. Well, I mean, from the scriptures, but okay.
Yeah. So it says, so Doug the one, remember, Doug the one that volunteered to kill the priest.
Right. Yes, sir.
So David asking him, what's going on with you that you think you can kill the Lord's anointed? So that same spirit, same understanding, he think he can kill the priest. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then Saul got him. If you go to the, if you reference to the movie, he's one of he's like a dark figure, but he's everywhere with Saul that he there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So who else would be there when he said, "Follow me"?
Right.
Doug. Jonathan, now he ain't gonna tell Jonathan to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes, sir.
So I want to shine light on something. In verse 10, it says, well, you go to Psalms 110, you got all these Hebrew Israelites, they can't seem to understand when it says the Lord said to my Lord. They can't rightly divide these two lords, Michael and David. David is Lord. Okay, so it says, so I stood upon him, the Edomite, the Amalekite talking to David. So I stood upon him and slew him, because I was sure that he would not live after that. He was fallen, and I took the crown, check it out. So that's how you know it's Doug. I took the crown, check it out. I took the crown that was upon his head and the bracelet that was upon his arms, and I have brought them hither to my Lord. They go to the Lord. One of the Lords that's in Psalms 110. David. Okay. Then David took a hold of the clothes and rent them, and likewise all the men that were with him. Now check it out. So when you understand that our creator in heaven, Michael is his Lord, Michael is his servant, David is Michael's servant. Now watch this. So, but I'm showing you that David is the Lord. So we see what Michael doing. David doing the same thing. David liked Michael. Like he said, David is a man after his own heart. Michael is a warrior, David a warrior. So 12 says, and they mourned and wept and fasted until evening for Saul and Jonathan, his son, and for the people of the Lord and for the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword. Now here you go. Same thing with Yahweh got Michael doing. Told him, go down to Egypt and kill them, kill Egyptians. Okay? Now watch this. And David said unto the young man that told him, whence art thou? And he answered, I am the son of a stranger and a Amalekite. So that right there tell you he ain't got shit to do with Israel. So why you killing Saul? 14. And David said unto him, how was thou not afraid to stretch forth thine hand to destroy the Lord's anointed? Now here you go, 15. David doing the same thing Michael doing. David called one of the young men, just like Yahweh called one of these 7 angels. David called one of the young men, said, go near and fall upon him. And he smote him that he died. And so my thing is this here. Find your way through the Tanakh with that. Okay? All right. So you go on chapter 2?
Right, yes, sir. And it says, and it came to pass after this that David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, go up. And David said, whither shall I go up? And he said, unto Hebron. So David went up thither, and his wives also, and Hinnom the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, Nabal's wife, the Carmelite, and his men that were with him did David bring up. Every man with his household, they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. And the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying that the men of Jabesh Gilead, were they that buried Saul. And David sent messengers unto the men of Jabesh Gilead, and said unto them, blessed be ye of the Lord, that ye have showed this kindness unto your Lord, even unto Saul, and have buried him. And now the Lord show kindness and truth unto you, and I also will requite you with this kindness, because you have done this thing. Therefore, now let your hands be strengthened, and be ye valiant, for your master Saul is dead, and also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. But Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbeth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Israel. Ishboth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. And at that time, in the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. And Abner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishboth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met together by the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool, and the other on the other side of the pool. And Abner said to Joab, let the young men now arise and play before us. And Joab said, let them arise. Then there arose and went over by number 12 of Benjamin, which pertained to Ishboth, the son of Saul, and 12 servants of David, and they caught everyone his fellow by the head, and thrust his sword into his fellow's side. So they fell down together. Wherefore that place was called Hilkath Hizarim, which is in Gibeon. And there was a very sore battle that day, and Abner was beaten, and the men of Israel before the servants of David. And there were three sons of Zariah there, Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. And Asahel was as light of foot as a wild rope, and Asahel pursued after Abner, and in going he turned not to the right hand nor to the left from following Abner. Then Abner looked behind him and said, art thou Asahel? And he answered, I am. And Abner said to him, turn thee aside to thy right hand or to thy left, and lay thee hold on one of the young men, and take thee his armor. But Asahel would not turn aside from following him. And Abner said again to Asahel, turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab thy brother? Howbeit he refused to turn aside. Wherefore Abner, with the hinder end of the spear, smote him under the fifth rib, that the spear came out behind, and he fell down there, and he died in the same place. And it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asahel fell down, and it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asahel fell down and died stood still. Joab also and Abishai pursued after Abner, and the sun went down when they were come to the hill of Amma, that lieth before Giah by the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. And the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Abner, and became one troop, and stood on top of the hill. Then Abner called to Joab and said, shall the sword devour forever? Knowest thou not that it will be bitterness in the latter end? How long shall it be then, ere thou bid the people return from following their brethren? And Joab said, as God liveth, unless thou hast spoken, surely then in the morning had gone up everyone for following his brother. So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still and pursued after Israel no more, neither fought they any more. And Abner and his men walked all that night through the plain, and passed over Jordan, and went through all of Bethron, and they came to Mahanaim. And Joab returned from following Abner, and when he had gathered all the people together, there lacked of David's servants 19 men and Asahel. But the servants of David had smitten of Benjamin and of Abner's men, so that 360 men died. And they took up Asahel and buried him in the sepulchre of his father, which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went all night, and they came to Hebron at the break of day. And Shalom. That was 2 Samuel chapter 2.
Okay, you got anything out of that?
No, sir. Well, I will say this, Berlin. I'm sorry. I didn't know that that Saul's son, this the same son. If I'm looking at it from House of David, was this that son that got sent away?
Yeah, that's the one that the mama made him king while Saul was gone.
Right. Okay, right.
Saul was gone crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And notice how he reigned for about 2 years.
Right. Yes, sir. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. But what you're looking at right here is, because people don't understand what Lord of Hosts is. Right here, there's two Lord of Hosts fighting, Abner and Joab.
Right.
Abner is the Lord of Hosts for Saul, and Joab is the Lord of Hosts for David. So when you understand what the Lord of Hosts is, that's what Michael is to Yahweh. And this is what's going on. But notice how, let me go back. I got a few things I want to deal with. So notice how it says in verse 8, and Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host. See that? Lord of hosts. Abner took Ishbob, the son of Saul, and brought him to Manahem, and made him king over Gilgal, Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over Israel. So right here, this in reverse. This the 10 tribes right here. Remember what he told what Saul did, what Solomon did? He took the 10 tribes and gave them to I can't think his name.
Is it
Jeroboam.
Jeroboam? Yes, sir.
But right here, after Saul died, then it says 8, 9. He made him king, this boy right here, king over the Asherites and over Jezreel and over Ephraim. That's the 10 tribes. And over Benjamin and over all Israel. But check this out. Then you go 10. Ishbob, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel at the 10 tribes. And he reigned 2 years, but the house of Judah followed David. There it is. See that? Like he said, when he rent the kingdom from Solomon, he said, I'm going to leave this tribe over here, Judah, for Saul, for David. And then you say, what are you talking about? Well, you go back to Numbers, when Balaam prophesied, right? Balaam said a star's going to come out of Judah, right?
Right.
Yeah, look at this. I'm in chapter 2, verse 4. This the prophecy coming to pass. 4. And the men of Judah came there. They anointed David king over the house of Judah. There it is. See that? And they said, and they told David, saying that the men of Jezebel were they that buried Saul. So right here, David became the star that came out of Judah. That Balaam prophesied about. See that? So this in reverse. It's in reverse. You got a guy over the 10 tribes, David over Judah, and then when Joab, I'm gonna read it. I know it's coming up in chapters 3, but then Abner came and met with David, and then they all became one nation. Then Solomon did what he did, and it went back to this. Okay, but go ahead.
Right, yes, sir. And so it says, now there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, but David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. And unto David were sons born in Hebron, and his firstborn was Amnon of Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and his second was Chileab of Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite, and the third was Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur, and the fourth Adoniah, the son of Haggith, and the fifth Shephatiah, the son of Abital, and the sixth was Ithream by Eglah, David's wife. These were born to David in Hebron. And it came to pass while there was this war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul. And Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishboth said to Abner, wherefore hast thou gone in unto my father's concubine? Then was Abner very wroth for the words of Ishboth, and said, am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren and to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David, that thou chargest me today with the fault concerning this woman? So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord hath sworn to David, even so I do to him, to translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba. And he cannot answer Abner a word again, because he feared him. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, Who is the land? Excuse me, whose is the land? Saying also, Make thy league with me, and behold, my hand shall be with thee to bring about all Israel unto thee. And he said, Well, I will make a league with thee, but one thing I require of thee, that is, thou shalt not see my face. Thou shalt not see my face, except thou first bring Michelle, Saul's daughter, which thou comest to see my face. And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, Deliver me my wife Michelle, which I espoused to me for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, even from Phalatel, the son of Laish. And her husband went with her along, weeping behind her to Bahurim. Then said Abner unto him, Go, return. And he returned. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, You sought for David in times past to be king over you. Now then do it, for the Lord hath spoken of David, saying, By the hand of my servant David, I will save my people out of the hand of the Philistines, and out of the hand of their enemies. And Abner also spake in the ears of Benjamin. And Abner went also to speak in the ears of David in Hebron, all that seemed good to Israel, and that seemed good to the whole house of Benjamin. And Abner came to David to Hebron with 20 men with him. And David made Abner David made Abner and the men that were with him a feast. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel unto the Lord my king, that they may make a league with thee, and that thou mayest reign over all that thine heart desireth. And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from pursuing the troop, and brought in a great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he was gone in peace. When Joab and all the hosts that were with him were come, they told Joab, saying, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he sent him away, and he is gone in peace. Then Joab came to the king and said, What hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away, when he is quite gone? Thou knowest Abner the son of Ner, that he came to deceive thee, to know thy going out and thy coming in, and to know all that thou doest. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner, which sought him again from the well of Sirah, but David knew it not. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, and when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly, and smote him under the fifth rib. Then he died for the blood of Asiel his brother. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord forever from the blood of Abner the son of Ner. Let it rest on the head of Joab and on all his father's house, and let there not fail from the house of Joab one that hath an issue, or that is a leper, or that leaneth on a staff, or that falleth on the sword, or that lacketh bread. So Joab and Abishai, his brother, slew Abner, because he had slain their brother Asiel at Gibeon in the battle. And David said unto Joab and to all the people that were with him, Rend your clothes and gird you with sackcloth, and mourn before Abner. And King David himself followed the bier. And they buried Abner in Hebron, and the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. And the king lamented over Abner and said, Die, Abner, as a fool dieth. Thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put in the fetters. As a man falleth before a wicked man, so fellest thou. And all the people wept again over him. And when all the people came and when all the people came to cause David to eat meat while it was yet day, David swears, saying, So do God to me, and more also, if I taste bread or aught else till the sun be down. And all the people took notice of it, and it pleased them, as whatsoever the king did pleased all the people. For all the people and all Israel understood that day that that it was not of the king to slay Abner the son of Ner. And the king said unto his servants, Know ye not that there is a prince and a great man fallen this day in Israel? And I am this day weak, though anointed king, and these men, the sons of Zariah, be too hard for me. The Lord shall reward the doer of evil according to his wickedness. And shalom. That was 2 Samuel chapter 3.
Okay, you got anything out of that?
Brother Leonard, Joab, like you had said, how Joab is the Lord of hosts for David.
Right.
Yes, sir. And so he did exactly to Abner what Abner did to his brother, as far as how he killed him. But just in the action of it, how he said Abner came to deceive you, and the Lord of hosts is so he was protecting David. He was doing his job.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm going to break that down.
Okay.
I'm gonna break that down. So Joab had two brothers, and Abner, Abishai, and Azarel, and Abner. If you go back, Joab. What people don't understand, like I said, David got these mighty men around him. Not he got the 33, but everybody around him is dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So Abner ain't that nice. Abner dangerous. So the boy, out of these three brothers, Azarel is the youngest, and he can't fight. He can't do nothing with Abner. So Abner told him, "Go on about your business and stop following me, or I'm gonna do something to you." He kept following him. Then Abner killed him. Come on. So he told him, he kept telling him to go on about your business. And so anyway, he killed him, and then not Joab in his feelings. Okay, but he Israelite. He know the laws and all that, but he in his feelings. So then when Saul come over, but another thing you have to understand, ain't Abner following David everywhere trying to kill him and Saul? Before Saul died?
Right.
Wasn't Abner following David everywhere trying to kill him?
Yes, sir.
Right? So now David dealing with, he thinking like a Hebrew. He dealing with the Most High. What the Most High said, he not in his feelings. So he says right here, I'm gonna get it. Let me get it. So I'm in verse 8, chapter 3, verse 8. It says, Then Abner very wroth for the words of Abishai, and said, I am a dog's head which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul by the father to his brethren and to his friends, and have delivered thee into the hands of David, that thou chargest me not. So right here, what I'm reading is, like I say, Abner is dangerous. So after Saul got killed, Abner started messing with one of Saul's concubines. This little boy right here called Abner out, and Abner told him, "Yo, you could be. I can give you over to David right now, but you still here because of me. So how you get enough nerve to come confront me about a concubine when I'm you under my protection?" Okay. So then we go to verse 9. So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord hath sworn unto David. See this? This righteousness, bro. Check it out. So do to Abner as more also as the Lord hath sworn to David, even unto do to him. Then to translate the kingdom. See that? He doing putting everything in the bullshit aside. He said to translate. This is what Balaam prophesied. To translate the kingdom from the house of Saul and set it up the throne of David. That's what was prophesied by Michael over Israel and over Judah. From Dan, look at it, from Dan until Bathsheba. That means the whole 12 tribes. Right now, David just over Judah. But the Most High put a spirit on Abner to bring all that to make it all happen because of who he is. So let's keep going. Abner sent messages to David. See this? He ain't got no business doing this. Abner sent messages to David on his behalf, saying, "Whose is the land?" Saying also, "Make thy league with me." See that? He was following, he was with Saul, following David, trying to kill him. And vice versa. David know this. But they didn't put that bullshit aside. Ain't no emotions in it. So Abner sent messages to David on his behalf, saying, whose is the land? Saying also, "Make thy league with me, and behold, my hand shall be with thee, to bring about all of Israel unto thee." That's Michael, right? Michael wishes. And he said, well, I will make a league with thee, but one thing I require of thee, that thou shalt not see my face, except thou first bring Michelle. Go back to what I was telling you about, how you got all these things, these issues that got to be resolved when one king comes, the next king comes. So he says, "Bring Michelle, Saul's daughter, without coming to see my face," okay? And David sent messages to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, "Deliver me my wife Michelle, which I espoused to me for the 100 foreskins of the Philistine." And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband. See that? Ain't no emotion in it. Ishbosheth sent, took her from her husband, even from Philistine, the Saul language, well, that the word is. And her husband went forth with her along weeping behind her to Bethlehem. Then said Abner unto him, "Go, return and be returned." Now see right here, he told him, "Gone on. These dangerous dudes, these dudes dangerous." He says, "Gone on. That's over with. You and what you and Michelle had over with. Gone on." So he went on, but the other boy, Asriel, didn't do that. That's why Abner killed him. But anyway, 16. And her husband went. See that? Her husband went with, 17. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, ye sought for David in times past. See that? Ye sought for David in times past to be king over you. Now then, do it, for the Lord has spoken of David. See that? He's doing the most high work, saying, "By the hand of my servant David, I will save my people, Israel, out of the hand of the Philistines and out of the hand of their enemies." And Abner, this is Abner. Abner also spake in the ears of Benjamin. And Abner went also to speak in the ears of David. See that? They got all kind of issues going on. Say, and David in Hebron also, that seemed good to Israel and that seemed good to the whole house of Benjamin. So Abner came to David to Hebron, and 20 men with him. Dangerous, these dangerous men. Abner came to David to Hebron, and 20 men with him, and David made Abner and the men that were with him a feast. See that? They got this bad history. But all that bullshit, they didn't put it aside. So he says, 21, Abner said unto David, "I will arise and go, and I will gather all of Israel," his prophecy. "I will gather all unto my Lord." Now David is Lord, the king, "that they may make a league with thee, and that thou mayest reign over all over all that is thine desires." And David sent Abner away and went. So they didn't smushed all the bull crap. They didn't talk, and Abner gone. Now here comes the drama. Joab in his feelings. Here you go. And behold, the servant of David and Joab came from pursuing the troops and brought in a great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he was gone in peace. He was gone in peace, right? And when Joab and all the hosts that were with him will come, this is what I mean by wicked ass spirits. Okay, so when Joab and all his hosts that was with him were gone, that they told Joab, saying, Abner, look at this, they told Joab, knowing that he didn't kill his brother. Abner, son of Ner, came to the king, and he has sent him away, and he is gone in peace. Then Joab came to the king and said, "What hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away?" And he quit, and he is quite gone. So now let's look at it. So who is David? David who killed Goliath. Everybody know David got anointed on him. What are you talking to David about? What are you talking to David about? Okay, now 24. Then Joab came to the king and said, what hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away? And he is quite gone. Thou knowest Abner the son of Ner, that he came to deceive thee. See that? Bullshit. When these men dealing with the Most High. So he says, then Joab came to the king and said, what hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away? And he is gone, and he is quite gone. Then knoweth Abner the son of Ner that he came to deceive thee, and to know thy goings out and its coming in, and know all that thou doest. He lied. It's a lie. David already made peace with the man. The man already prophesied to David that the Most High using him to bring that thing past. He coming with this bullshit. So now 26. And when Joab was come out of David, he sent messengers after Abner. Look at this. He sent messengers after Abner, which brought him again from the well of Shirah, but David knew it not. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly and smote him there under the fifth rib, that he died for the blood of Asherel, his brother. See that? In his feelings. Fuck what the Most High said. He all in his feelings. And so now, just imagine right here, he could have derailed the prophecy of the Most High. Because David is supposed to rule over all the kingdoms. Abner done put aside all the bullcrap, and he done brought to bring about the prophecy. He on some more stuff. But this is the same dude that checked David way back about numbering Israel. He asked him, what you doing numbering Israel when the Lord ain't with it? But he ain't acting like the Lord right here. He's trying to divert what the Most High the Lord already prophesied. This is a perfect example of what I mean by wicked ass spirits. And you got to constantly be watching out for that. Okay? Does that make any sense?
Shalom, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. He being used to try to keep David from becoming the king of all 12 tribes of Israel. When he killed Abner right here, so watch this. Watch how the Most High, Lord of hosts, cleaned it up. The Lord of hosts and David. We see David had put aside all the bull crap. He done came together with Abner and they done connected. So he comes with this drama in his feelings and killed Abner. Now watch what David do. I'm in 31. David said to Joab and to all the people that were with him, rent your clothes. So everybody looking, you know what I'm saying? These people behind Abner. So they're not trying to deal with David if they know that it's wickedness or trickery in the situation. So David says, rent your clothes, gird you with sackcloth, and mourn before Abner. And King David himself followed in the bride. See that? And they buried Abner in Hebron, and the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. And the king lamented after Abner and said, died Abner was a fool that has a fool diet. So he said the way Joab killed him. Say, thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put under feathers, as nor a man falleth before wicked men. So fellest thou, and all the people wept again for him. And when all the people, look at this, this is how he cleaned it up. And when all the people came and caused David to eat meat while it was yet day, David swore, saying, so do God to me, and more also, if I taste bread or aught else till the sun go down. And all the people took notice. See that? David cleaning it up. And all the people took notice of it. And it pleased them. And whatsoever the king did pleased all the people, all 12 tribes. See that? For all the people and all of Israel understood that the day that it was not of the king to slay Abner of Ner. It was a nut bucket that killed him. Not understanding. Okay. You got anything else?
No, sir.
People got to understand. So many people don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? How these wicked ass spirits work. Okay. So anyway, I'm in chapter 4. I'm gonna read chapter 4. It's about murdered by his brother. And when Saul, the son, heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were troubled. And Saul's son had 2 men that were captains of the bands, and the names of the men were Tanak, and the name of the other were Rechab, and the sons of Reman and Berkah. These dangerous men, okay, of the children of Benjamin. For Barak also was reckoned to Benjamin. Now I want to go back and I want to shine light on something else. Right here, verse 4. When Saul's son, this is the same one that just called Abner out, and Abner told him, if it wasn't for me, you'd be dead. Because I can send you right over there and David and them would do the work on you. But the only reason they haven't is because I'm here. Now Abner dead. Now look at him. This what I mean. And when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead, now you worried about Abner being dead. When he was there, you weren't thinking right. Okay. Now 3. He says, and the Barkerites failed to give him and were sojourners there until this day. And Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son that was lame of his feet, and he was 5 years old when the tidings came of Saul and of Jonathan out of Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fell. And it came to pass as he made haste to flee that he fell and became lame. And the name was Mr. Rock, I can't say their name. And the sons of Reman, the Barakites, Rechab, Tanak went and came about the heat of the day of the house of Ishabak, who laid on the bed at noon. And they came thither unto the midst of the house, as though they would have fetched wheat, and they smote him under the 5th rib, and Rechab and Tanak his brother escaped. And when they came into the house, they laid on his bed in his bedchamber, and they smote him and slew him and beheaded him and took his head and got them away through the plains all night. And they brought the head of Ishbak unto David to Hebron and said to the king, behold, the head of Ishbak, the son of Saul, thine enemy, which sought thy life, and the Lord has avenged my Lord, the king. Here go the Lord said unto my Lord again, right here. See that? Which sought the life of the Lord, Michael, have avenged my Lord. There they go again. See that? The king this day of Saul and his seed. And David answered Rechab and Benaiah his brother, the sons of Rechab and Berkah, and said unto them, as the Lord liveth, who have redeemed my soul out of all adversity, when one told me, saying, behold, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good tidings, I took hold of him, slew him in Zigzag, who thought that I would have given him a reward for his tidings. How much more when wicked men have slain a righteous person in his own house upon his bed, shall I not therefore not requite his blood of your hand and take you away from thee? So here you go again. He go. They trying to this wicked spirits working behind the scenes to try to divert what the Most High got for David. So these 2 men did the same thing Doug did. David ain't trying to kill Saul's son. They went in the middle of the night and killed Saul's son on his bed. Then came back and told David, thinking David was going to reward them. David killed them the same way he did Doug. But like what I'm showing you behind the scenes, nobody ain't seeing this. It's these wicked ass spirits trying to divert what the Most High prophesied or what the Most High is doing. Okay. So anyway, keep going. And David commanded his, here you go again. And David commanded his young men, and they slew them. See that? And cut off their hands and their feet and hanged them up over the pool of in Hebron. But they took the heads of Ishbak and buried it in the sepulchre of Abner in Hebron. See that? So they steady try to bring dissension among the people for David not to come into his own was prophesied to him. These wicked ass spirits working through these wicked ass men. Okay. Any comments before I go to verse 5, chapter 5? Can anybody see that?
Right, yes, sir.
This happened on a daily basis. This is like 101. Okay. So David made king over Israel. Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron and spake, saying, Behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. Also, in times past, when Saul was king over us, thou was he that led us out and brought us in Israel. And the Lord said to thee, Thou shalt feed my people Israel, and thou shalt be captain over Israel. So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, and King David made league with them in Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David over Israel. See that? That was the whole thing. They're trying to divert this right here. Verse 3. So all the elders of Israel came to King at Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel. They're trying to usurp that. Okay. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and his reign was 40 years. In Hebron, he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months, and in Jerusalem, he reigned 33 years over all of Israel and Judah. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem unto the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, which spake unto David, saying, Except thou take away the blind and the lame, thou shalt not come in hither, thinking David cannot come in hither. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion, the same as the city of David. And David said on that day, Whosoever getteth up to the gutter, smiteth the Jebusites, and the lame and the blind. See, he's doing the opposite of what JC did. The blind man looking for JC to lay hands on him. David looking for the blind man to cut his head off. So it says, David said unto that day, Whosoever getteth up to the gutter and smiteth the Jebusites, these wicked people from Cain descendants and from the fallen angels, and the lame and the blind that are hated of David's soul, he shall be chief and captain. Wherefore they said, the blind and the lame should not come into the house. Like I said, these Edomites doing the opposite. They killing the lame and the blind because they know where they came from. So David dwelt in the fort and called it the city of David. And David built round about from Milo and inward. And David went on and grew great. And the Lord God of the host was with him. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and carpenters, and masons, and they built David a house. And David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for his people Israel's sake. So this right here, what I was talking about. When Abner trying to kill David, him and Saul, all that happened. Saul died. David ain't dealing with that no more. He's looking right here. David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, that he had exalted his kingdom for his people Israel's sake. He didn't watch all the garbage. Okay. And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem. And after he was come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. And these are the names of those that were born unto him in Jerusalem. I can't say that name. Shema, Shabbat, Nathan, Solomon, Isbah, also Elisha, Nephach, the Fed and Japhana, and say I can't say the name. Then anyway, 17. But when the Philistines heard that here you go. When the Philistines heard that David had anointed that they had anointed David king over Israel, all the Philistines came up to see David. And David heard of it and went down to the hole. And the Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. See that? See how wickedness worked? Read it again. But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, all the Philistines, they wicked as hell. So just like the Lord of hosts working and the Yahweh working through righteous men, he working through these wicked ass men. But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, all the Philistines came up to see David. And David heard of it and went down to the hole. The Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go up to the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into my hands? And the Lord said unto David, go up, for I will doubtlessly deliver the Philistines into thine hand. And David came to Bethzerum, and David smote them there, and said, the Lord hath broken forth upon mine enemies before me, as the breach of the waters. Therefore he called the name of the place Baal Perazim. And there they left their images, and David and his men buried them. And the Philistines came up yet again. See that? They ain't calling time out. This 24/7. And the Philistines came up yet again and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, thou shalt not go up, but fetch a compass behind them and come upon them over against the mulberry trees. And let it be, when thou hear the sound of the going up in the tops of the mulberry trees, that then thou shalt bestir thyself, for then shall the Lord go out before thee to smite the host of the Philistines. And David did so as the Lord had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba until the coming down of Gaza. See that? And like I said, people read this and they read right over the anointing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So he trying to Abner is actually the Lord of hosts is using Abner to complete the prophecy that he spoke with Balaam. Ain't that something? He's doing it. So let's look at that right here. Let's look at it. I'm in 37. This is what he's talking about. He says, this is the dry bones. I'm in verse 12. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus says the Lord God, behold, O my people, I will open up your graves, and I will cause you to come up out of your graves, and I will bring you into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am the Lord, when I have opened up your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves. Now here go the verse, the dagger. And I shall yet put my spirit in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall place you in your own land. Then shall ye know. Then shall ye know that I, the Lord, have spoken it. I performed it, saith the Lord. These wicked ass spirits trying to cut it off. But when you stay with the Lord, He's gonna bring it to pass. But you got to be aware of these wicked ass spirits around. Okay? Yeah. So anybody got anything else on that? That was chapter 5 I read. Okay, so we'll pick a scripture. We'll pick a scripture and then we'll break it down and then we'll close out. Somebody got a scripture they want to read?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Can I read Exodus 23 and 20, a few of those verses?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Because in second Samuel 5 and 24, it just said the same thing too. And it says in Exodus 23 and 20, says, "Behold, I will send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thy enemies and an adversary unto thy adversaries." In 23, my last verse, sir, and it says, For my angel shall go before thee and bring thee into the Amorites, and bring you on to the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off. And shalom. That was Exodus 23 and 20 through 23.
Okay, yeah. Okay, you got anything else?
Oh, sorry. In I had read that, Brother Leonard, because when you were just reading in 2 Samuel 24, when it said, "For then the Lord shall go out before thee to smite the host of the Philistines."
Exactly. Right. So when you understand who the Lord is, you see it all come together. You know what I'm saying?
Right, sir.
Right. Yeah. So like I was saying, I had a little revelation this morning where it hit me how we understand that who Michael is and all that, but I was sitting there and it dawned on me how that he's second in charge. And then we see that, like I was saying earlier, he got a role he has to play as he's coming from heaven. See what I'm saying? And people ain't getting that. He's the mediator between heaven and earth. And it had never really dawned on me the ramifications of that. He's the mediator. Lord of hosts is the mediator between heaven and earth. So I'm saying, and so then he got in Zion, he got David, and David is the mediator between the Lord of hosts and Jerusalem, the Israelites. That's why he called him Lord. And it just hit me like a sack of, you know what I mean? Sack of rocks. And you gotta look at all the ramifications of that, what David's responsibilities is. Just like when you gotta look at the ramifications of Michael being the mediator between heaven and earth. You look at the ramifications of that. You know what I'm saying? And then also a man's house. He's the Lord over his house. So you gotta look at the ramifications of that. Look at the order on that. Okay, yeah. Anybody else got anything else before we go? Everybody good?
Right, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So with that, I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I see everybody. We have our women's advanced Bible study tomorrow night, and men can come in through YouTube. I see all y'all tomorrow. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who the God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanak, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel. And it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.